Hello everyone, Dragon Mistress J here, bringing you the first ever deck profile in this little YouTube channel of mine. So today's deck profile will be featuring one of my favorite decks and clans, which is Bermuda Triangle. I know it kind of contradicts the channel name, which is Dragon Mistress, because dragons are my primary thing, but I'm also quite a fan of the mermaids as well. And today's deck is entirely made up of cards from the newest set, which is Twinkle Melody, which is our yearly to bi-yearly thing, which is a set only focusing on one clan, which is Bermuda Triangle, which for you who don't know is a clan just made up of mermaids. And one dragon that happens to be a mermaid sometimes, but that's in a different format in its entirety. So today's deck is actually probably one of my favorite and features some of my favorite units. And it centers around just your debut stage Tirua, perfect performance Ange, and last but not least, the new lady on the block, Happiness Heart Lupina. So the whole point of the deck is to hop between Ange and Tirua and then finish your opponent off with Lupina's restanding rearguard skill. So let's go break it down a little bit, see exactly how this is accomplished. So in this deck, we do in fact run 9 grade 3s, soon to be 10 is once I get my other Ange. This deck is entirely made up of stuff that I got out of 3 sneak peek kits. So it's what I had. This deck could obviously be added a little tiny bit with the addition of like 1 or 2 more copies of certain cards, but that's it. So to start off, we have 2 Happiness Heart Lupina. And what this lovely lady does is you can act once a turn, so you soul blast 2 cards, top 7 search for a card, call up to normal unit, and call it to rear. Once you shuffle your deck, if you call it a unit, you get an imaginary gift force and put it on the marker that that unit was placed on. Now, why this skill is great is get you another attacker, allows you to call a card. It allows you to not call a card from hand, so save the hand for guarding value and anything else you may need it for. And it's just good. But where she really shines is her second auto skill. Is when she attacks, you can counterblast one and stand all your rear guards on circles with force markers. In any game, especially this one, restanding any sort of thing is probably one of the best things you can do and one of the best skills. That's why pretty much every clan in the game pretty much has at least one unit that does the restanding. Because it's good. Except for Gold Paladins. I think they're the only ones who do not have a restander yet. Except for Spectre Duke. Spectre Duke's the thing. I classify Spectre Duke as a Shadow Paladin because he's more Shadow Paladin-like than he is Gold Paladin. But that's more personal preference of mine. Followed up, we have 3 perfect performance. Woo! Dropping stuff. 3 perfect performance Ange. So in order to really utilize Lupina's skill, you want to primarily be focusing on hopping between Ange and Tirua, like I said. Now what Ange's spicy skill is auto van. When she attacks a van you can counterblast 1, choose any normal units on any player's circle and return them to hand, which is, a plus. Either bounce back your own, or if your opponent's being kind of cheeky and they either, lock your things when Chaos Breaker comes out later this month, bind, retire, and you have no rear guards, you could bounce back your opponents. Just make sure you don't bounce back the things that have one-play skills, because that kind of helps them out in the long run. But so what she does, if you bounce back 2 or more units, she gets plus 10k. So if you attack with a rear guard before, and your opponent got a damage trigger, nullifies the damage trigger. You bounce back 3 or more, get an imaginary gift force. Hello Lupina generates force markers for her skill. And finally, sorry about the out of focus, 4 more, you search your deck for up to 1 unit, call it to rear, and shuffle your deck. What's not great about that? And if you bounce back 4 units, you get to activate all of those skills, which is amazing. So yes, it's great. Great stuff, great stuff. So we have 3 of her. Obviously, once I get a 4th one, she will go up to 4th. On and down, we have 4 Shushu debut stage Tirua, one of the cutest friggin' Bermuda Triangle units. So what this lovely lady does is slightly similar to her stride skill and not really related to her original skill that she had back in G series. So what her skill is auto advance. When placed, you choose any number of normal units on any other player's circles, like Ange, and return them to hand. If there are more cards were returned, you get plus 15k until end of turn. Not bad at all. But the primary reason why she's so good is that she is a restander on van and rear guard. And like I said before, restanding anything is always... restanding is one of the best things in this game. So at the end of the battle she attacked, if there are 3 or more any player's rear guards were returned to hand this turn, you can counterblast 1, drop a card from your hand, and stand this unit. And if it's on Vanguard, it gets drive -1. So, I do apologize. So primarily why I like using her as a rear guard skill more than a vanguard skill is obviously with Lupina, because if you have 2 Tiruas, if you have if you have Tirua in a rear, she can attack 3 times. If you have 2, she can attack 6 times, which is a plus. And if you have Lupina, that's technically 7. And if you include Lupina's Vanguard attack in there, that's 7 attacks in a turn. So, just good stuff. So you attack with Tirua, skill, restand, attack, repeat it again with the second Tirua, and attack with Lupina, activate Lupina's skill, restand. So essentially if you have 2 Tiruas for a counterblast, 3, and dropping 2, you get 7 attacks off, which is not bad at all in all things considered. And I know she restands things on force markers, but Ange, like I said before, Ange helps you generate those force markers, so you should not have a problem. That's all with hitting that lovely 7 attacks. If not the minimum, then 5. Rolling on down to the grade 2 is the support cards that let that happen. Start off, we have 3 of our new common, which essentially is a Mega Colony unit on a Bermuda Triangle. We have Electric Essence Cisco. I believe I pronounced that correctly. Yes, Cisco. So continues here during your turn. If any player's rearguards are returned to hand this turn, she gets plus 10. 20k attacker, not bad. And if you just played Bermuda Triangle, her skill will trigger. An auto rear when placed, you may put a normal unit from your drop zone on the bottom of your deck. If you put a grade 3 or greater unit, choose one of your opponent's rear guards, and then you cannot stand during your opponent's next stand phase. Which is essentially if you bounce back a grade 3, it's essentially a free paralyzing unit, which is kind of funny that she's jellyfish related and she stings and paralyzes, which is very cute. And a bit cheeky, if you don't mind me saying. Next up, we have 3 Top Idol Aqua. She's probably one of the ones that will come up to be a 4 of once I get another copy of her. She's probably one of the best triple rares in this set. Continuous Vanner rear during your turn. You have another unit in the same column as this unit. This unit gets plus 5, so 50k attacker. If you have Senna behind her, she becomes 20k, which is pretty good. But primarily her main skill-wise, which makes her really good, is her auto skill, which is Vanner rear when placed. Return up to 1 other normal unit on rear to hand. And if you return a card, you get to draw a card. You have to drop a card, but that's not a problem. So it's a free drop, and you get to bounce back in your hand and to just keep re-triggering on-play skills if you just keep and re-trigger on-play skills, which is a plus. And you get to draw cards while you're at it. Obviously, it does have the hard once per turn leaves a leg clause, so you can't abuse this more than once per turn, because that would be even more broken. That would be VR worthy. You could do that, and then she probably would get banned. Then we are running 4 Shaco Love Heart Lizelet. One of the most useful generic grade 2s in this clan in V series. So continuous to hand, she can be called as a grade 1. So 10k attack on your grade 1 turn. Not bad at all. But another reason why she's really good is auto van or rear. When placed, you can look at the top card of your deck, call it to your rear, or put it into your soul. And yet again, why I call it deletes elect clause or hard once per turn, because you cannot abuse that more than once. But it's either you get a card for soul blasting for Lupina, or you just get to call a free card without wasting calling a card from hand that you can save for later for either guarding or other purposes that you may need it for. Because anything that doesn't allow you to waste a card is a plus. Next up, we run down to the grade 1s. We have 4. Tame Canaan's Katya. She is Tirua specific single rare grade 1. And what she is, that continues during your turn. If any player's rear guards will return, then she gets +5. So as you notice, it's kind of a common theme in this deck. A lot of my support units get +5, which is always good, because power boosts are always a plus. And then auto rear at the end of battle that it attacked or boosted. If you have a Vanguard with Tirua in its card name, you could Soul Blast 1 and return all of your rear guard to the save column this to your hand. Now, if you don't feel like using Tirua skill, when placed, for whatever odd reason, you don't have Counter Blast, still bounce stuff back in order to trigger her Tirua's restand ability. So, she's just a great generic single rare card. I love her. She's fun. Sadly, not a shoo-shoo, but you know, Bushiroad has a tendency to do that recently. Looking at Ymir for not being a duo. Now we have 3 Aurora, which is, originally came in the trial deck, but she was reprinted as a common in this set. Is auto van or rear when placed, you draw a card, drop a card from hand. Hard once per turn, or as I like to call it, as I said, deletes elect clause. I like using her primarily either for first right, because that technically allows you to draw 2, and you're really only minusing 1 if you draw off your starter skill, draw for turn, and then off of her skill. So you don't really lose anything, which is a plus. I know some people don't run her, but I really like her, so that's why she's in my deck, as this has a personal choice. Next up, we have 3 Mermaid Idol Senna, who is our grade 3 searcher, which I'm kind of surprised it's still not Shandi, because she was as a theme for most in the previous clans, it's been their stride enablers. But for some reason it's Senna. It's a bit odd, but you know, that's besides the point. So, continuous van or rear. During turn, if you have another unit in the same column as her, she gets +5, but not bad at all. One of the most easiest conditions to meet. And if you have her behind Aqua, that's +10. And then it's the grade 3 skills. Van or rear when placed. Top 5 search for a grade 3. If you find one, you just put a card into your hand. Put it into hand and drop a card. Not bad at all. Primarily, if you go second, you can drop your quick shield for that. So you're really not. So you're not really losing anything. And then finally, we have 4 Mermaid Idol Ellie, who is probably one of the most interesting and most used self-fulfilling grade 1s. What she does is auto van or rear when it attacks or to attack and boost it hits a Vanguard. I can search my deck for up to 1 Mermaid Idol Ellie, reveal the opponent's hand, and retire this unit. You may think that's a bit weird, like why would you retire a unit to search for retire this unit to get 1 hand? Well, that is where her drop zone skill comes in. Excuse me, not drop zone, guard circle. When she's placed on guard, you may put another Mermaid Idol Ellie from your drop zone on the bottom of your deck, and she gets +10k shield until end of that battle. She becomes a 20k shield, so equivalent of a heal trigger. Excuse me. And she's like said, she self-fulfills her cost because there will be already at least one in the drop zone when you trigger skill to search for another one out. Which is not bad at all if you ask me. So, extra 20k shield, that gives you technically 8 20k shields in the deck, which is a huge plus for guarding, especially when going against the bigger number decks. Now we're down to the triggers, and this is a hyper-aggressive build because, like I said, this deck does focus a lot on multiple attacks. So, the primary trigger you want are crits, because you always got to crit it to win. It's one of my favorite policies. We run 4 Lover Hope Arena. 2 direct sign brush, 2 dock and shoot appella, because I just like having a wide variety of artwork. 4 Reina, which is the newest, which is Laris's Sentinel, Laris's crit trigger, but no, Laris in this set's still a tiny bit miffed about that because Laris deserves love too. And Sentinel crits are interesting, so for the few of you who do not know, Sentinels you can only have 4 copies in the deck, so we have the Draw Perfect Guards in Standard, or you have the Sentinel crits, which are 30k shield, which can be useful in some retrospect, but we have things like Ellie to help out with that, so if you have Ellie, combo that with Ellie, it's 50k in shield, which should stop most attacks. Should. And yet again, why it's the 12 crit variant is because I like I said, I like hyper-aggressive strategies, and critting, restanding rear guards is always a plus no matter what. And if your opponent doesn't want to take those hits, they just have to guard with more cards from hand. And finally, we have 4 heal triggers, obviously, which have the 20k shield. And unlike G series or regular or original series, all the triggers now have plus 10k trigger power. And finally, to the starter, we're running the generic V series starter, which is Bermuda Triangle deck Shizuku, one of the original starters for Bermuda Triangle, and also one of the original Grade 3 Searcher. And when rode upon, you may draw a card, and then if you go second, you can add a Quick Shield to hand, which is just pretty much, a Quick Shield does give 5k power, adds 5k power when you guard within, or you just use it as a free, I'm going to discard this card for drop skills. So yes, that is the lovely Ange Tirua deck featuring Lupina. I do hope you all enjoyed this video. Like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.